Welcome to the Offensive Support BOSS lesson. In this lesson, you'll examine OS concept definitions, OS employment considerations, OS targeting process, OS capabilities and planning data, and target effects. The OS BOSS contributes significantly to the destruction effective enemy capability, and this lesson will provide you with information that will assist in optimizing this capability. Offensive support is the collective and coordinated use of fire support, naval gunfire support, offensive air support, and non-lethal means in support of a manoeuvre plan. The manoeuvre arm commander employs these means to support his scheme of manoeuvre in order to delay, disrupt, or destroy enemy forces. The OS BOSS provides the destructive force essential in defeating enemy capabilities and their will to fight. Synchronizing OS with manoeuvre is crucial to the achievement of the combined arms effect. The Joint Offensive Support Team, or JOST, comprises a forward observer party of 4 to 5 personnel, mortar fire controller, and, if required, forward air controller. The Joint Offensive Support Coordination Center, or JOSC, can operate at both the unit and formation levels. Formation JOSC comprises an Artillery Tactical Headquarters, an Artillery Intelligence Office, and an Army Air Defense Command Post. Additionally, on an as-required basis, a Formation JOSC can include a Naval Support Officer, a Tactical Air Control Party, and an Army Aviation Command Post. The unit JOSC comprises a battery commander's party, the mortar platoon commander, and, as required, the direct fire support weapon platoon commander. In relation to the OS BOSS, the concept of command gives authority to move and deploy OS assets, authority to control the fire of OS assets, and the responsibility for the administration of OS assets. Whilst the tactical groups within the JOST and JOSC are allocated to manoeuvre units under normal command status, individual gun groups remain under the authority of their respective artillery headquarters. In relation to the OS BOSS, the concept of control is the ability to apply the desired OS effect through the assignment of a particular artillery tactical task. These tasks include direct support tasks, reinforcing tasks, general support tasks, and general support reinforcing tasks. Direct support tactical tasks are those which provide fire requested by the supported unit. Reinforcing tactical tasks are those which augment the fire of another artillery unit. General support tactical tasks are those which support the force as a whole rather than augmenting the fire of another artillery unit. General support reinforcing tactical tasks are those which support the force as a whole, but which have a secondary task of augmenting the fire of another artillery unit. Fire support coordination measures are used to increase the responsiveness of indirect fire by reducing the need for coordination while maintaining adequate protection against fratricide for ground troops and friendly aircraft. They also avoid the engagement of protected targets. Such measures are considered either permissive, that is, they allow fire support without further coordination, or restrictive, that is, they impose coordination requirements. JOST 1 can engage targets Delta and Echo, as Delta is forward of the FSCL, and target Echo, as it is within JOST's RFL, but not target Foxtrot, as it is behind the FSCL, and outside its tail. JOST 2 can engage targets Alpha and Charlie, as they are within its tail. JOST
3 can engage target Bravo as it is within its TAOR, and target Charlie as it is forward of the FSCL. The Brigade JOSC can engage targets Foxtrot and Delta as they are within its TAOR, and target Charlie as it is forward of the FSCL. It cannot engage target Echo as it is within JOSC's RFL. The Div JOSC can engage targets Charlie and Delta as they are forward of the FSCL. When employing the OS BOSS, a number of considerations need to be followed. They include flexibility, concentration of force, economy of effort, cooperation, surprise, sustainment, dispersion, risk, responsiveness, reserves, and timeliness. The next few screens will only discuss the details of flexibility, concentration of force, economy of effort, cooperation, and surprise.
Fire for effect. Over.
Shot over.
Shot out.
Targeting is the process of identifying enemy targets and determining the appropriate attack system to be used to capture, destroy, degrade, or neutralize the targets in question. The emphasis of targeting is on identifying resources that the enemy can least afford to lose. Denying these resources to the enemy strips him of the initiative and forces him to conform to friendly battle plans. Targeting is achieved through the Detect, Decide, Deliver, Assess, or D3A methodology. The Decide phase provides the focus and priorities for the collection management and fire planning process. It employs an estimate of enemy intent, capabilities, and vulnerabilities in conjunction with an understanding of the friendly force mission and concept of operation. This phase is used to determine what high payoff targets to look for, when and where they are likely to appear on the battlefield, who can locate them, and how the target should be attacked. During the Detect phase, the collection plan is executed. As specified targets are located, the appropriate headquarters or response system is notified to initiate target attack in accordance with the attack guidance matrix. The Deliver phase is conducted accurately when designated attack systems correctly respond to the observation of high payoff targets. The Assess phase involves the provision of combat assessment.
It's a timely and accurate estimate of damage resulting from an attack against a target as a part of the targeting process. Combat assessment helps determine if re-attack is necessary. Within the Anzac Division, field artillery assets like the L119 light gun are vested in 1 and 4 field regiments and 16 New Zealand Field Regiment. Medium artillery assets like the M198 are vested in 210 and 812 medium regiments. Mortars, namely the 81mm L16A2, are used by all Anzac Division infantry units. The Anzac Division primarily utilises M1A2 tanks as well as the ASLAV. These assets are vested in 1 armoured regiment and 2 cavalry regiment. They are considered to be OS assets when they are utilised in a fire support role. Anti-armour weapons that are used by the Anzac Division include the Javelin, Carl Gustaf and the M72 LAW. They are considered to be OS assets when they are utilised in a fire support role. Naval gunfire and offensive air support are utilised by the Anzac Division. Offensive air support comprises close air support, which is air allocated in support of the close battle, and battlefield air interdiction, which is air allocated to target in depth to shape the battlefield. Aviation within the Anzac Division is vested within 1 aviation regiment, and includes the UH-60 Black Hawk, ARH or Aussie Tiger, and CH-47 Chinook. Electronic warfare comprises electronic attack and electronic jamming, which is vested within the Anzac Division's brigade CSUs. Rockets are delivered by MLRS, normally allocated in support of Anzac Division by ABCA Corps. Generally speaking, OS effects can be broadly categorized into 3 distinct types: destruction, neutralization, and suppression. Destruction equates to inflicting between 30 to 70% casualties on a unit, or the physical destruction of a selected individual high payoff target. A destroyed target is rendered permanently combat ineffective. Destruction requires up to 3 times the ammunition expenditure of a neutralized target and 10 times the requirement to achieve a suppression effect. It's therefore costly in both time and ammunition. Neutralization renders a target ineffective or unusable for a temporary period, pending repair or reconstitution. This allows the time or space for the maneuver elements to achieve their task. Suppression is used to prevent effective fire on friendly forces. It's usually applied on subsequent objectives to prevent their ability to target the main effort or assault. It should be noted that suppression does not have a lasting effect, and once the fire is lifted, the enemy can recommence effective fire on friendly forces. An enemy force is advancing on our position. Disruption commences in the deep battle space. The assets with the greatest reach are assigned air assets. Their range may be exploited to shape the enemy well before the close battle is joined. They'll also continue to shape subsequent echelons or support elements and command and control systems in the deep while the close battle is being fought. Similarly, the range of general support artillery is exploited to achieve shaping effects in the deep battle space. As the close battle develops, the shaping effects initiated in the deep must be maintained. Close support artillery initially fulfills this role.
As the battle gets closer, mortars are employed. Direct fire platforms such as tanks, anti-armoured weapons and other direct fire weapons complete the shaping of the enemy. Remember, the concept of depth by fire is all about layering the effects of various fire support assets such that the capabilities of each system are exploited to shape the enemy throughout the depth of the battle space. In this simplistic example, an enemy combat team is advancing on a friendly force position. As the enemy combat team approaches the position, it encounters complex terrain which forces the enemy infantry to move to the front of the tanks and then dismount to clear the complex terrain. OS is then used to destroy or neutralize the dismounted infantry in the complex terrain. The tanks then proceed through the complex terrain without infantry support, and thus the tanks have been functionally dislocated from their infantry support. Therefore, the enemy combat team will be unable to clear out friendly force position without infantry. In the same way as the commander provides for a manoeuvre reserve for all stages of an operation, he must also form a firepower reserve. This is done to allow for fires to be directed against unpredicted or undetected targets. As a general rule, the less that is known about the enemy, the greater the firepower reserve should be. A firepower reserve is formed in two ways. Firstly, ammunition is designated as the commander's reserve and can't be used without his authority. Secondly, superimposing the fire of one or more nominated fire units over the fire of others allows the fire to be shifted to another target without seriously diminishing the effect on the original target. A battalion is about to conduct an attack on an enemy company. The enemy company has 3 platoon positions as shown. The battalion has 3 fire units assigned to assist with the attack. If all 3 objectives were to be assaulted simultaneously, each objective would require covering fire during the assault. Should an unexpected target need to be engaged, the fire from one of the objectives would have to be lifted and there would be a detrimental effect on the attack. Because we have only 3 fire units available, only 2 objectives can be neutralized simultaneously. One fire unit is superimposed to deal with unexpected contingencies. If the fire of the superimposed fire unit is lifted, 2 objectives can still be neutralized and the attack can continue without undue risk. When planning, only organic fire units such as battalion mortars, direct support and reinforcing artillery fire units will provide guaranteed fire. During the residential phase of the course, you'll be expected to demonstrate a knowledge of the location of artillery manoeuvre areas and artillery reserved areas and the target effects of destruction, neutralization and suppression. You'll be expected to provide an OS concept which details targets, the effect you want against those targets, and the duration of that effect. Finally, you'll be required to recall what the fire support control measures are and the OS effects sequence. You have just completed the OS BOSS lesson. In this lesson, you examined OS concept definitions, OS employment considerations, OS targeting process, OS assets and OS capabilities and planning data. Remember, the OS BOSS contributes significantly to the destruction effect of enemy capability. You also need to remain cognizant of the fact that the OS BOSS's employment characteristics and command relationships differ to those of other BOSS.